Hello and welcome to In Deep Crit playing a Blade Runner, the role-playing game. We've backed it on Kickstarter and we've got access to the Foundry setup already. We're still waiting for our physical copies to arrive. They should be in the post at this moment, excitingly. But we decided we'd get this game up and running. It's coming out in stores on December the 13th, I believe. There's a few previews at a few cons and things this weekend. So yeah, we thought we'd get this playthrough started and get it out to you guys. Let's do some introductions. My name's Damien Humphreys, and I am playing tonight as Willem Novak, who is a old-timer Blade Runner. Been around the block a little bit, 16 years on the force. We'll find out more about him later on. And we've got Luke, over to you.
Yes, my name's Luke Hindmarsh, the other half of the usual suspect within In Deep Crit. I'm game runner for this evening, and we'll be keeping our group of Blade Runners hopefully occupied with an interesting case. Before we get into the investigation, we have two other Blade Runners with us. Could I first of all hear from Fenna?
Hey, Aubrey Stewart. I'll be playing Fenna. She's a replicant and doxy negotiator interrogator.
And that leaves our Percival, who is...
I am Phil Parks, and I'll be playing Percival, who's a crime scene specialist and a replicant.
Okay. So, at the start of the game... Blade Runner is a game about obviously investigating crime scenes, investigating cases, pursuing old model Nexus replicants, because of course the two replicants that we're going to have in the game are both the obedient Nexus 9 model. No problems there. Don't go off script, guys, right? But Before we start, the first thing that happens is, Fenna, you are alerted by your KIA, your Knowledge Integration Assistant, that you have an order from Deputy Chief David Holden. He is Deputy Chief of the RDU, the Rep Detect Unit of the LAPD. You are provided with orders, and I will just share that with you. Everyone's going to see the orders, they're not private. For the most part, we'll be having handouts that I share to everyone. The KIA, the Knowledge Integration Assistant, is an interesting feature of this. Every player is interlinked, using it, and so we can, we can
Cells interlinked.
Cells within cells, yes, indeed. We can quote the whole of that if we're not careful. The interesting thing is that means that when the party splits, as it were, which is this game encourages, they're still in contact for the most part. So, first of all, this isn't going to apply obviously to this order, but here is the order to Fenna, which hopefully will have popped up on everyone's screen. So just take a moment to digest that.
No, it's not an acceptable answer.
Okay. Once you've taken on since this is a recorded play, I'm going to read out, for the benefit of the audience, what it says, or you can if you'd like to, Fenna.
Sure. Locate veteran Blade Runner Willem Novak, currently on leave. Bring him in for emergency briefing. Tends to go off the grid when on leave. Can often be found in the streets of Sector 5. Novak might object. No is not an acceptable answer.
Just to remind you, Fenna, that
Clear.
You're not cop. You're little people, right? We're going to have to letter as many quotes. So, I will take you over to central Los Angeles. Los Angeles, May 2037. Toxic rain is pouring down over the city, where gigantic buildings dwarf ancient skyscrapers. Lights from huge billboards flash along the streets and wipe across the crowds of pedestrians in Sector 5, Little Tokyo District. The White Dragon Noodle Bar is crowded with customers, sitting on stools, slurping their food out of bowls. Veteran Blade Runner Willem Novak is among them, enjoying a few days of hard-earned rest and reading today's Independent Sentinel newspaper. So this is the point where I will share another handout, which is the newspaper. Hopefully this just comes out the way I want it to. Which is the newspaper that Novak is reading. And I'll give you a short chance to have a little consider of that whilst in her detective special spinner, Fenna, or FN9-2.39, as she's properly known as, is on her way to Sector 5, because of course everyone knows that the White Dragon Noodle Bar is the place to eat if you're a Blade Runner. There's a special rate, and they've been doing a special service for the LAPD since 1982, so I'm told. Once you've had a chance to skim the headlines, give me a shout. I'm not going to press you for time, but I'm also not suggesting you take time now to read the articles in depth.
I can't read the articles anyway, but yeah.
Should be able to zoom in.
Nope.
There should at the bottom of your pop-out screen be a little tiny arrow with a diagonal arrow with two arrows on it, 2 points on it, and if you click that and drag it, you should be able to expand your.
Yeah, I then can't move this. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I can. Yeah.
Cool. Anyway, for the purposes of this, just have a quick skim read. This is now available to you. It should be available to you in journals, so you can check up on this if there's any leads in it, or not. Is this just window dressing? I have to break for a moment and say the handouts and stuff in this are just gorgeous. I mean, their artwork is something else. So, after I've given you that moment.
Yeah, this is a good-looking newspaper.
So, after you've had a chance to digest a little bit of the news, Novak, why don't you take us through a sort of quick introduction to Novak? What do you like? And you're at the noodle bar. There is a man at the counter. What are you ordering?
Ordering the usual, some kind of take on a pad thai type thing. Noodles with some broth. Yeah, seeing as I'm off duty, definitely.
How many do you want?
Bit of extra grease. Half a dozen or so.
He argues with you and suggests it should only be like 3. No, 3, not 6.
But three twice.
Just 3.
3 twice.
Oh, not 3. You're putting on weight. 3.
Is this because I don't pay you?
He looks up at the sky. Tell us a bit about Novak before we find out what it is he's looking at.
So Novak is a middle-aged human man, dark skin, slightly greying hair, close-cropped hair that's starting to grey. He's been in more than one fight. You know, nose has been broken at least a couple of times. No real obvious scars, but obviously looks like he's been known how to handle himself, and sometimes failed to handle himself. Dressed in kind of very stereotypical trench coat, black trench coat, collar turned up, sat reading the paper, smoking a cigarette and eating at the same time. So chopsticks in one hand, cigarette in the other, alternating between the two. No real regard for hygiene or health. Okay.
And you've been on the force for, I think you already said, 16 years. So
16 years, yeah.
You were around at the time that good old Nexus 6s were about, I think. I think you were a rookie at the time. Where?
Yeah.
where all that stuff with Tyrell happened.
Just after the stuff with Tyrell happened, yeah. Just before the blackout. So right between Tyrell and the blackout.
So your heyday was probably around about 2022. We are now in 2037, of course, just for those who are not aware of that. So the guy at the counter is looking up, and his attention's caught by something, and your old street instincts kick in. You can tell the sound of a spinner, and this one has that particular whine of a detective special. Nice vehicle if you can get your hands on one. It descends to street level and sets down. This is where Fenna, you step out with your orders. Please give us a description of your character, and let's see how you interact with Novak. If you can identify him from his rather obvious mugshot and penchant for noodles and cigarettes.
Okay, so Fenna is a replicant and a woman. She appears to be like East Asian heritage, short black hair. She's very attractive. She's wearing street clothes that kind of show off her body. She would walk up. Can I see where he is?
Oh, I mean, at the noodle bar, there are only so many seats, and
Yeah.
Blade Runners kind of stand out. It's probably the trench coat, but maybe it's something else like the aura that just surrounds them. Just a final question, Fenna. How old do you look?
She looks pretty
Mid-20s?
young. Yeah, I'd say mid-20s. Yeah, makes sense.
Of course, the Replicant Prohibition Act has only been rescinded for a year. So, how old that makes you, how old it makes Percival, we'll have to find out. Not old. Yeah, you spot Novak without much difficulty. He's what are you doing, Novak? Trying to ignore the presence of this detective? Because I mean, surely there's a replicant at the bar, probably a N8 serving you noodles. The way he's always trying to stick in the number of spring rolls and things.
Yeah, doggedly ignoring the detective special spinner that's landed behind me, and anyone who's got out of it, keeping my eye on the bar. Could never trust anybody too far.
Fenna, what do you do?
What's Novak's body language? Like, how is he sitting?
Like he was putting up a 10-foot wall around him.
Yeah, makes sense. Is there an empty spot next to him?
No, but there is little people next to him.
I'm gonna go over and kind of just slink next to the person who is sitting next to Novak and kind of just put my arm around them and ask, could I sit here?
It's a middle-aged man, somewhat... he's got some grease in his beard. He's not exactly looking like someone who looks like you would talk to him very often. That stems. You want to sit here? Yeah, I'm almost done, sweetheart. I'll see you later. Joe gets up and lets you take the seat. Your charm is, as ever, your greatest weapon.
Sit down. Mr. Novak.
Who's asking?
Fenna, from the RDU. I was told to bring you in.
Told to bring me in?
Yeah. I guess you're on
Well.
leave right now, right?
Yep. Got another 2 days.
Well, Apologies, but I think something must have come up.
Nope. Busy.
Eating noodles.
There's a lot more to eating noodles than eating noodles.
Like what, Novak?
Something that a fresh out of the box skin job probably wouldn't know.
It's not the worst thing that's ever been said to you by a fellow police officer. In fact, that's relatively polite given the way most of them have reacted towards you. Still.
Maybe we see things clear sometimes. Anyway, you've been on the job long enough to know these. It's important what we do. I think you understand.
Who sent you?
It was what?
Deputy Chief David Holden, emergency briefing.
The deputy
Okay.
chief. So
Sooner we get this over with, the sooner I can get back to my time off. All right, lead on.
Right.
So you get into
take my car, I guess. Yeah.
you get into Fenna's detective special and rise up slowly and gracefully into the rain-soaked city sky between the massive skyscrapers, heading over towards the LAPD tower. And I don't know whether it's clear on your screens, but pretty much every marker, there's loads of pins on the...
I've got nothing on my screen.
Got nothing on your... Really? Okay, so this is interesting because obviously this forms part of a review as well as our play. I'm not going to leave you guys with a blank screen at any point, so if you've got a blank screen, please tell me.
Okay.
This is a very nicely set up module from Free League. However, depends on which VTT you're running it on potentially. This is using
there we go.
Foundry through the Forge. Now, when I loaded this up on Foundry, the main app, everything was visible. Now, using the Forge, which I have to do for various reasons, it isn't. So I've prepped everything twice, and I don't think there's a consistency. So that's something to watch out for if you're going to run this game. Double check what's visible and what's not. When I first loaded it up in the main Foundry application, everything that was supposed to be visible was visible. So there's a lot of fiddly little details that has to be fixed with any VTT implementation. So this is one to watch out for. Anyway, guys, well, I'm very sorry that you've been sitting there looking at nothing. What I might do on the recording is actually superimpose the map so that our audience are not driven nuts, wondering why we're...
I've got the map now.
Yeah, cool. So if you note on it, there are a number of... Hopefully you've got a number of pins and tabs and things where you can hover over something and it'll give you more information. You might even be able to click on them to get a journal entry. I don't know. That might just be for me. It's not very easy for me to know that without getting you guys to do it. So can't click on anything. Nothing's clickable now. Okay, well that's...
But we've got the pins.
Fair enough. So the pins are quite useful. There are a lot of them. And doesn't show you anything if you hover over them.
Piss out.
No.
Okay, fair enough. Well, anyway, so you make your way to the LAPD tower and circling down, you exit on the top of the tower and are taken down into, well, you know the way to Chief Holden's office. And I will, at this point, take you across to it. Hopefully, you are now not looking at a blank screen.
No, we're not.
Excellent. So, Novak come in. What's your name? Replicant.
Fenna.
That's it. Come in. The ceiling fans are churning the smoke-filled air. Holden is older, aging, wheezing from the synthetic lungs that he got. Everyone knows it. Shot by a replicant, one of the old N6 models, around about the time of Tyrell's murder. There's another figure there. That's Percival. Percival, you have been asked to obtain some profiles on 2 Blade Runners in the unit to provide to Deputy Chief Holden and presumably these 2 investigators. I'll share them in a minute. You found them. So when we get to it, you'll have a chance to look at it. Would you like to, in the meantime, just briefly describe yourself and how are you acting in the room with this legendary Blade Runner, the Deputy Chief?
Well, I am about average height, about average build. I've been deliberately constructed to look as unobtrusive and unthreatening as possible. I've cultivated quite a bright sort of smile, which I know separates me from many of my colleagues. But I'm trying to bring a sense of professionalism, clarity. Clean shaven, dark hair, dressed neatly, but not flamboyantly or excessively. And when they walk in after the chief, obviously, that's greeted them, I will greet them and say good morning. Just nod slightly.
Got a funny idea of morning, kid. Sit down, Deputy Chief Holden says, with his typical rasping voice.
Slump into the chair.
Sorry to bring you in when you were on leave, Novak, but we have an urgent situation. It's bad. I got a feeling like this one. A feeling like the feeling I had when Leon Kowalski entered the Tyrell building and sat in front of me. Last night there was a shooting in Sector 1 in a sordid little place called the Snake Pit on Nightclub Row. You may have heard of it.
I know.
Taffy Lewis is the owner. Well, 2 of our new Blade Runners, the Nexus 9, were there. Serial numbers, I'll give you the details, but they're LH3-7.93 and SN9-148, who people have been taken to call Leia and Sandor. Maybe you've seen them around. In fact, I think you, forensics guy, you remind me, weren't your incept date, you were brought online at the same time as Leia, weren't you?
I was brought online right at the start, so I've been making a contribution ever since.
I can see what personality they decided to implant you with. Right, well, that's very helpful, thank you. Yeah, well, anyway, Sander was shot dead. Leia is now missing. We have no idea where she is. I got to these data files. You was Percival, isn't it? So take a look. This is Leia. Incept date 4th of July 2036. Function, combat and recon. Physical state, level A. Mental state, level C. Known address, 21 Hornbill Street. Standard apartment. Nexus 9. You got fingerprints if you need them. And then we've got Sander. When you're ready. Is everybody ready to have a look at it?
Yeah.
Have you? You understand the format. Incept date 17th of February 2037. Function, combat and liaison. Physical state B, mental state B. Well, so much for however much Wallace had to pay to have him made, and how much we've had to pay to have him as a Blade Runner. That's all gone. Just like him. They went to the Snake Pit to investigate suspected Nexus 8 activity. We don't know if that's what triggered the shooting. According to local cops at the scene, witnesses said there were these human supremacist jerks at the Snake Pit last night. Maybe that had something to do with it. We just don't know. I guess we'll read all about it in that sleazy tabloid, Kill, tomorrow. You need to figure this out, and fast. I have the brass breathing down my neck. I don't need to tell you that the Nexus 9 replicants were approved for use on Earth only just last year. Mistrust against reps is running high. We have it in our own department. If someone out there is killing and kidnapping N9s, we need to find them and stop them. We need to do it fast. Add to that, the Wallace Corporation is pushing us hard on this. Their business depends on this new breed of replicants, and anything that jeopardizes that would be a major blow to their bottom line. They're letting us run this investigation, but have offered assistance. Their PR manager, Quell, is expecting you at Wallace Corp HQ to tell you more about Leia. Play nice with them, Novak. I mean it.
I'll try my best, sir.
I know you will. I know you will. You can play this any way you like. Split up to cover more ground if you need to. I don't care as long as I get results. And fast. You have the full resources of the Rep Detect unit at your disposal. Sander's body is being processed down in the crime lab right now. Of course, you can check the LAPD mainframe for personnel files on Sander and Leia, and any ESPA footage of the Snake Pit last night. Who knows, maybe we'll get lucky. I've uploaded to your KIA all relevant information that we have so far. Now, any questions, or are you going to get out of here and do your job?
I just want to...
I just got one question. Why were two combat reps sent to investigate?
Suspected Nexus 8 presence. Come on, Novak. You know they don't go quietly. Put up a damn hard fight when they know their lives come to an end. We've seen it enough times. They're willing to cut out their own eyeballs to avoid detection. What are they willing to do to someone who's going to bring them in? They're not like the old models that used to give up. The old Nexus 4s and 5s. If you even remember them.
Yeah, no, I know that. I know that.
Percival, you said so. You had something you wanted to ask me about.
Oh no, I just wish to thank you for this opportunity and for the trust, and I hope to repay it.
Make sure you do.
I would also like to thank you for this opportunity, Deputy Chief Holden. You've been most gracious and magnanimous. I get up and walk out.
Hey Novak, remember when you get the feeling, trust it. or you'll end up with a couple of artificial lungs, just like me. Oh, if that's it, I want to be kept regularly updated. This is important. I'll see you later. So, looking on your KIA units, I finally get to stub that cigarette out. Don't smoke, kids. Don't smoke.
Especially not with artificial lungs.
No. Well, I suppose he's got no problem, has he? So you've got a few leads that you can follow up. You've got the autopsy report waiting for you in the RIT crime lab. You've got the LAPD mainframe. You can visit the Snake Pit. You've got Wallace Corp HQ for their liaison. You've got Leia's apartment. You've got the Kill tabloid office. Whether or not you have any interest in that. Those are all the things that have been mentioned, and that's as much hand-holding as I'm going to give you here on in.
Yeah. So when we step out, I'll introduce myself. I'll be like, offer my hand to Novak first, and then a fellow replicant. So I'll be delighted to work.
Give you a grunt and a nod, but don't shake your hand.
He's hard to crack. Where did you guys plan on looking?
I mean, we got a whole lot of leads. We need to divide this up, I think. Percival, was it?
That's correct.
Lab Geek?
Specialist, yeah.
Lab Geek. I mean, do you want to take the autopsy report?
Certainly, I could
And
also.
The mainframe?
I could also examine the scene. Perhaps something was missed.
I'm assuming the Snake Pit's still been open for business. It's a possibility. Chief told me to play nice with Quell. The nicest way I can play with Quell is not being anywhere near her. Fenna,
I knew that.
you seem like the chatty type.
That's correct.
I'm happy to go through Esper footage of the club and go down to the club. I know Taffy, we go back.
Excellent.
Okay.
Sounds like we have a good strategy.
So, in terms of time, it's going to take basically getting the autopsy report. That's a shift of work. Going to the LAPD mainframe that's also including the Esper database. So
Right.
that's a shift of work if you were going to be looking up. I mean, you've had it mentioned by Holden that there's the possibility of looking at personnel files. You've only got like their profile database. You haven't got like their detailed files. Visiting Wallace Corp HQ would of course be a full shift as well. Those are the top three. That might leave you to have time to go to the Snake Pit together, or not. It is up to you when you split up and when you don't. You have to make that judgment call. If you find yourself in a situation where you need backup, it's only going to be so far away, right? That's the joy of having the access to a detective special.
Perhaps if we all do our single jobs, then we can reconvene at the Snake Pit.
Sounds good.
Okay, so I am going to take you to the crime lab first, and I'm going to take everyone there because it's easier, and then we'll slash cutting over is probably easier at a tabletop than it is on the VTT when it's different screens. We'll see how it goes. So here we go, 1 second. So this is the crime lab and morgue of the Replicant Intelligence and Technology Division. It's up at the top of the tower, and waiting for you, as he almost always is. I mean, he's human, but he seems to need less sleep than replicants. Is the Chief Medical Examiner, Coco. And I'll show you the mugshot for him.
Does he have a surname that I would know?
Not that you know, he's just called Coco.
Okay.
He is not alone. There is the unofficial LAPD office cat, Biscuits, who, before you have to ask, is obviously artificial, because the LAPD hasn't got the spare cash for, like, a real animal. Hey, yeah, can I help you? I've seen you a few times. You're the forensics, skin job, no offence.
None taken. It's correct, Mr. Coco. And Biscuits. I'm here
Biscuits
regarding...
doesn't acknowledge you, just keeps on cleaning his ears.
I'm here regarding the unfortunate death of the yellow Series 9 replicant.
You're going to... So, I'm going to stop here. Your voice is a bit faint. You need to bring your mic closer. Thank you. Yeah, sorry, dude. Right, so you repeat that. So you're investigating the death of the...
Series 9.
Nexus. You're talking about...
Nexus
oh, right.
9.
Yeah, of course. So you're here for that. Come and have a look. It's been quite fascinating. I've not really had a lot of reason to be looking inside any of your kind that often.
I hope to be keeping it that way.
Well, yeah, if you want to have a examination of it yourself, he shows you the body. He's got a large hole in his chest. Coco looks at you. You've got the opportunity if you want to examine the body, or of course you can ask him since he is, the chief examiner.
I would do both. I would do my own examination first without being prejudiced, and then I would ask him his conclusions and see if they match.
Okay. So why don't you go ahead and give me a
observation
medical aid roll, please. Yeah, you see, what you'd observe is this big hole in his chest.
Yeah, I presume I just roll that.
Okay, so you've got a success. That's what the I means. You've only got one success, but it's enough. So this is clearly a point-blank shot with a large caliber weapon. The bullet is a through and through, so the bullet would have gone through Sanders' chest and has not been recovered. It's not possible to tell what, obviously he was stabbed from lividity and examining the body and that, looking for the signs. He was obviously on his feet at the point where he was killed, and it seems that his heart was just taken out. This was a instant kill. He'd have had very little time to know about it.
Do I know if that's a way to be certain of killing a, as he called it, skin job? Like, would I know that would cause catastrophic damage?
Given the size of the caliber weapon, the likelihood is how close it was fired, it would kill anyone, human or rep, through the torso. Certainly, so we're not talking about a precision shot that's been aimed to take out the heart. This is very much a gun stuffed in someone's midriff, in their torso, and the trigger pulled, blowing a hole through them. So it's a powerful gun that's done it.
Okay.
In terms of what would kill a rep, yeah, sure, the heart, the brain. You're tough, but you're not that tough. Deliberately designed to be, maybe these days, less human than human. but still.
Okay. I'll turn to him and I'll say, what conclusions did you reach, Mr. Coco?
Oh, well, yeah, it's interesting. It's a large caliber weapon. I would suspect, given the range it's been fired point blank, got some limited signs of burns and such. It's obviously I would say that it was caseless ammunition. But clearly the bullets are through and through. I would be wondering where it went. If you get me the bullet, I could tell you more. Other than that, he was in excellent physical condition. No sign of any substance in his system other than it should be. His last baseline test seems to have been clear enough as far as I could tell. Not sure if there's anything else I can help you with.
Do you perchance have access to Leia's baseline set?
That would be in the mainframe, I'm sure. Now, if
you had no...
I've got another body I've got to autopsy. Feel free to entertain biscuits, but otherwise I've got to go.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'll say goodbye to Biscuits, and then I'll leave.
Biscuits continues to show you as much interest in you as he did initially, although when you sort of shove your hand in expert...
Oh, no, I just say hi.
Right, okay.
I just greet him with a nod and I walk out, as if he was another entity.
Cool. So, I'm not going to take you out of the crime lab. So we'll deal with the mainframe and Esper wall, which is, I think, Novak, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So the mainframe is this vast archive of criminal intelligence, and of course the Esper wall is like the nervous system of the Esper network, which is a surveillance network of cameras and the like that cover all of LA. Countless Esper cameras litter the place. It has got some incredible computational powers which allows you to see different aspects of an image, potentially. You can extract more information than at first appears. So what I'm going to need you to do is give me some tech rolls. What are you first looking for?
I was afraid you were going to say that.
Well, this is where splitting up can work against you.
Yeah.
It's taking a shift of work. So do you want to start off with like telling me what it is you want?
Yeah. So first of all, from I guess Percival has said, hasn't got we need the baseline for Leia, so I'm going to look for Leia's baseline, and then I want to go through footage from the snake pit at the time of the incident. Well, kind of, I guess, from an hour beforehand, for the time of the shooting.
Okay.
Looking for anything that looks out of place, anybody who doesn't look like they belong there. I know the streets pretty well. I know the snake pit reasonably well. The kind of clientele who should be there would normally be there. Anything out of the ordinary, anybody behaving weirdly, right up until the shooting and just after the shooting.
Okay, so let me get a tech roll first of all for trying to dig through the masses of data to pull out Leia's last performance report.
Oh, boom.
Wow. So a quick reminder of what multiple successes might mean. They can make it easier to retrieve data in the future. You could find out some further information. These kind of things that are relatively standard to Year Zero games. I think you've had a chance to read through the rules. I'm going to give you the performance report, and you know what? I think I'm going to be super generous here, and I'm not going to ask you to roll for the Esper wall search, so you can do the mainframe and the Esper.
That would be my ideal outcome from that roll, yeah.
Somehow, it's as if you don't really know your way around tech. It's not really a skill, but you do have this thing called the magic. It's the kind of thing that lets you almost sniff out a rep without having to have any of the other signs. Yeah, you sometimes used to have to put them on the machine to be sure, but that was only ever a matter of paperwork. You just knew. Somehow in the same way, you just have a feel about what you need to get out of this. So the first thing is the performance report for Leia. By the way, before we move on too far, can I just check with Percival? Are you uploading onto your KIA unit details about the autopsy?
Yes.
Conclusion.
And I'm also uploading that I independently verified finding.
Excellent. Novak, obviously it's still in the system, but are you uploading it to KIA for your fellow Blade Runners to see?
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so here we have the performance report. She had a baseline test failure on the 3rd of March 2037. She had another baseline test failure on the 27th of April 2037. She was suspended on the 28th of April 2037 for recalibration, which took place on the 7th of May 2037. She was then returned to active service on the 8th of May 2037.
That's a week ago, right? Because the 15th today.
That is correct.
Okay, yeah, I'm definitely uploading that to the KIA. Fenna, when you speak to Quell, that may be a point of interest that she's went for a recalibration at Wallace Corp 8 days ago and was assigned back to active duty only a week ago.
By the way, you can all feel free. So, Fenna, you're currently in your spinner cruising across the city. But of course, you're all connected. It's the technology, right? You're instantly connected to each other. So please feel free to discuss and examine evidence. Spitball, play with theories above the case, because otherwise this is, we'll hit a wall if we don't.
In that case, I would have said that to the others over the KO, he was shot with a large caliber weapon, point blank. Perhaps that is coincidence, or perhaps they wanted to make sure they could kill a replicant straight out.
Well, that's going to kill anyone, really. Was the bullet recovered?
No. When we go to the snake pit, perhaps we can recover it then.
Just know it was large caliber. We don't know what weapon.
Caseless ammunition, I was told. But I could not verify that myself, so I will not put undue weight on that finding.
She had 2 failures, kind of almost 2 months apart. Yeah. 6 weeks apart, something like that. Suspended, recalibrated, and back on active service. That might play into this case. I don't know the procedure for recalibration, having obviously never had to go through it myself. Have either of you, guy or gal, been through calibration? I obviously use that term loosely.
Neither of you have ever failed a baseline test, have you?
We have had exemplary service.
Just asking.
So you trawl through a lot of footage, and then of course you're in the snake pit. You find.
Just quickly before going on to that, the other guy, the dead guy, is only like 2 months old.
Yeah.
3 months old. Yeah.
There's nothing else on the system about any kind of issue with him. He hasn't failed any baseline tests. That kind of
Okay. Cool. Cool.
So probably would now.
Possibly. And again,
that is performance reviews right at the moment.
He's as soulless as he ever was. I just have to make a point that I'm actually a replicant sympathizer in real life. So you're trawling through the Esper footage, and there's a ton of it, but tied into how you've been on with the mainframe, you looking for Leia's report. Of course, the way to track her is to link up the mainframe data about her last case investigation, track it through whatever she uploaded with her KIA. And that was to do with going to the snake pit to investigate. And in doing so, she it's flagged a number of the Esper cameras along the way. You get a pretty decent exterior view of the snake pit. You can see the sign, and on it you watch as Fenna and Sander, must be from the way they're dressed and the way they're moving. It's not the clearest image, but you can see them go into the snake pit. Winding forward a little bit, a figure comes dashing out across the road towards a vehicle. This is the image that you managed to pull up, which I'll ask before it's examined by anyone else. Do you upload straight to your KIA? Novak?
Yes. Yeah.
So everyone can examine this in detail if they would like. You should be able to zoom in the way I described before.
Yeah, you need to make it a pop-up in order to zoom in. It won't zoom in otherwise, just if you have them.
Interesting, because I can do that straight away. It lets me zoom without having...
I can zoom in by dragging the corner, but I can see a lot more if I make it a pop out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that seems to make, just for anyone who's doing this themselves, it seems to make it a lot better
So
on this system.
pop-outs are a feature of a module within Foundry. Well worth looking at it. There's a module called Pop-Out Resizer. We're going to be doing a review of the various VTTs. When I say various, there's 3 that we are very familiar with. And that will be something we talk about, but it's a good point to raise that when you want to zoom in, there are ways to do it in Foundry, which are not instantly obvious when you first start with it. Is there anything you want to have a look at, particularly on this image? Is there any square you'd like to try enhancing?
Where did I see the figure run to? Was it this orange vehicle?
Yes.
So I'd like to enhance 0210.
Okay. So if you would please give me, and I'm afraid for this you actually are going to have to give me a tech roll.
I can't actually move. Hang on a minute.
You've got a copy. So first of all, you've got the copy of this, right? You take a hard copy of it.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
At any point in future, if you're in the presence of an Esper machine, you or anyone you share a hard copy with can make a tech roll to enhance and examine the software if you want to. So you've got that now as a... Wow, you're on fire with tech tonight. So the Esper machine does its magic and brings you the enhanced image. It's clearly, well, I say clearly, it's you can see that it's Leia. Haircut's right.
Yeah. Right, okay. And that's the license plate, 4R4 something, yeah?
Yeah. It's an ID.
So it's a cab. That's a cab.
It's a Metro cab, yeah.
Yeah.
So you've got the number of the cab.
Are they driverless vehicles?
Yeah, well, there's a dispatch. So, no, not precisely.
Okay.
This would have a driver. I mean, there's a degree of automation within any vehicle these days, but they usually have a driver. It's the way people make money, being a Metro cab driver. But this being Metro cab, there will be a single dispatch office. If you want to know where it's located, I would need a connections roll to see if you know that information.
Okay. I will upload this straight away as well.
Cool.
So this shows Esper getting into a cab.
Leia,
sorry.
Esper device. Yeah, sure. It's all right.
Also a character in a book series, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of words.
Yeah, this shows Leia getting into a cab outside the snake pit by herself. She ran to the cab. Doesn't look like she's being chased or forced in. She may be running from somebody inside, I guess. But that cab looks like it might have been waiting for her. That's a bit of a supposition, but
Would I know?
I think.
Oh, sorry.
Go on.
Would I know if the caliber of bullet would fit in a standard Blade Runner sidearm or any of our weapons?
There are 2 standard sidearms these days. You've got your sonic rounds. I believe that's what you're equipped with. That kind. But there is a slightly more old school weapon favoured by a number of Blade Runners, the blaster. That does indeed use caseless ammunition. Whether or not the caliber matches, well, certainly the blaster does have a high caliber. I mean, it's made for putting down replicants.
So yeah, I'll say that's a Novak as we're discussing it. I'll say
Need to be a lot louder. I'm sorry to have to prompt you on that.
the older blaster model would perhaps take a high caliber caseless ammunition. She might have been carrying.
Yep. It looks like she's carrying something. Or she's got a bag on or something under her right arm. Can I try enhancing that any further?
The technology of the future is incredible, but it still has its limitations.
Yeah, no worries. So I guess my next thing would be to find out where the cab came from.
Give me a connections roll. You might know it.
Oh, how do I close that? On my hand, that's specific. Now this, I should be okay at.
You can fail it, repeat it. Oh, no. Well, yeah, hey, I mean, the number of times you've fallen into a metro cab and had it take you home. Of course you know where dispatch office is. It's down on Anemoid Road. That's about...
Which is near the snake pit, right?
It's not that far away. It's still going to be a shift to deal with every separate location.
Yeah.
Unless there's anything else you can think of right now. I mean, I suppose there are some other names that you could try looking up, but I will be taking tech rolls.
No, that's it for me for now.
In terms of the location of the Metro Cab dispatch, you've done extremely well. You've basically got a crit success on that. So please remember the fact that you've got a spare and remind me of that if you at some point go to Metro Cab dispatch.
Okay,
you don't. But if you do, just remind, that's on you to remember that because I will forget.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So we have a time tracker to keep track of what everyone's doing with each shift. We're not going to go to it just yet because, of course, we are waiting for Fenna, who is on her way to Wallace HQ. You pass the old Tyrell pyramids to this even larger mega structure, which is still under construction. And give me one moment. And then I will activate this. So you bring your spinner in for landing in the huge internal garage, and then descend into the cavernous and eerily empty interior, which is constantly cast in a pale golden light and shadows of water, though you can't see where the light or the water could be to create that effect. You get to the front door, and there is a clerk who is totally hairless, no eyebrows, no hair on the top of his head, very piercing blue eyes, very pale skin. Hello? And I assist you with something.
What was the person's name again?
Quell.
I'm here on part of the RDU. I was going to speak to Quell.
Oh yes, of course. She's waiting. Oh yeah, this must be about that shooting. Well, please do come follow me. She's our vice president of public relations. He leads you through the building, and you find yourself in a austere and immaculately decorated office. There is a woman sitting inside. She looks at you with about the interest of a snake sizing up a mouse. I will show you what she looks like. This is her mugshot. This is, I didn't catch your name, sorry. What was the name?
Fenna.
This is Blade Runner Fenna from the RDU. I believe you wish to see them anyway, madam. That'll be all. Thank you very much. Leave us. Well, I'm very grateful that you've come with such alacrity. I had thought I might have to chase the RDU. You're not known for your willingness to come and visit.
I like to think I'm just dedicated to the job.
She looks at you, weighing you. Yes, I like to see our product line performing to expectations. This case that you've been assigned to is critical to Wallace Corporation. You were launched, you Nexus 9s, just over a year ago. It's not just our bottom line that depends on this, but the survival of society as we know it. Without replicants and a smooth integration of the Nexus 9, humanity's fate will be sealed. So what have you done so far? And what are your plans in conducting this investigation? And has Deputy Chief Holden simply assigned you?
No, I have colleagues currently looking into other leads on the case. I came here to talk to you personally.
For which I'm very grateful. What steps have you taken so far? What are your colleagues doing that they have left you to visit me?
They're currently looking into the more, usual avenues of investigation. The bodies, records.
Usual avenues. There's nothing usual about this case. I expect to know in detail and be kept informed in detail as to what progress is being made in this investigation. Deputy Chief Holden has pledged full disclosure and cooperation with Wallace Corp during this investigation.
Well, we do know that Leia failed multiple baseline tests.
Did she? Very interesting. I hope your working theory is not that her disappearance is in some way related to that, however. We can't be having a Nexus 9 seen to do anything other than do its job.
Were you not aware of that?
What else have you been pursuing in terms of leads?
Surveillance footage, mostly.
Of course.
While I was here, I was wondering if I could look into your records. If that's okay.
Well, yes, I suppose so.
Like you said, full disclosure, right? You're supposed to have a working relationship.
Yes, of course. Although I must explain that if there's any chance of holding out on me, the consequences of non-cooperation might be unfortunate. Her baseline tests. Give me a moment. She touches something on her wrist and then takes a pair of glasses out, puts them on. Yes? Yes? She failed her baseline tests. It's a minor malfunction and expected in rare cases. Recalibration was completed. Doesn't seem to have been any subsequent baseline test failure. Highly unlikely it has anything to do with Leia's disappearance. You should consider investigating the human supremacist groups. They've been inciting hatred and violence against replicants. They should be your main suspect. Do you have any other questions? You can feel free to probe her a little bit. She's obviously what she is.
Let's see. Would I be able to find out what kind of memories Leia has? What drives her? I'm trying to. The surveillance footage shows her leaving in a cab. I could maybe figure out where she's going.
Excellent. Well, yes. So, Leia, looking at her insert date, she was one of the earlier Nexus 9 models. It says here her memories were designed by the Lilith Memory Lab, one of Wallace's subcontractors. I'm afraid I don't have any further information on what the nature of her memory might be. You would either need to scan her, a stelline scan, or I suppose you could go and speak to someone at the Lilith Memory Lab, but really it's likely to be a waste of your time. You know what memory you were given. They're to stabilize you. They're not real. No Nexus 9 thinks that their memory is real. It's just a form of software to make sure the product performs as it's intended. Now, my time is very valuable. I think we're possibly done here. Unless you have something else to tell me.
No, I just want to try to read her mood, her general, how she felt about all this.
Yeah, empathy is your strong suit, isn't it?
Yes.
So, looking at your empathy skills, it's probably insight, isn't it?
Yeah.
We're needing to roll here. So give me an insight check.
Let's see if I'm as good as Novak at this stuff. Roll.
Nobody's failed a roll yet. No pressure.
Still, no one has failed a roll. What is going on with this VTT? Normally they produce a string of failures in a row. Then again, we've yet to really probe. Wait till it's something life or death. That's where it'll all go wrong. So, trying to read her, it's incredibly difficult. She gives very little away. My attempt to roleplay her, my performance, is considerably more. Well, I've got less of a poker face than she does. It's that difficult. Really, the greatest impression you can get from her is that she holds you in slight contempt, like you were a lesser being to her. You do strongly suspect that she is not human. who's very, very sure of herself and her position, which, given her rank and position within Wallace Corp, probably not surprising. So, unless there's anything else, that is the first shift of the day, the morning shift. And what I'll ask you to do is we have a time tracker page, which I will activate for everyone. Take you to it. You are, as players, have the option to go to this page at any time. Obviously, you can tell me you want to go there, but you can also click it yourself, which is not. I've had the game paused all this time. Lucky it's not a computer game. The attention to detail within the module, like you get the nice little rotating RDU badge. So here we are. You guys ought to have the option to write in anything you want to do. This is shift 1 of day 1. If you want to very quickly indicate what it is you did or any key clue, perhaps. I think you've each got different coloured writing that we've set up. Yeah, we'll neaten it up. But that is shift 1. And we are then moving on to the second shift of the day, the afternoon. So I'll let you have a quick consideration of that. So before the break, we were just looking at the time tracker, which it's easy to waste time on now. I think if we were running this at tabletop instead of virtually, it would be a lot easier to keep the notes. I would make sure that every player had their own copy of that and could make notes. And you know, it's both a useful tool for the investigation, but it's also a useful tool for the game runner. So I got mosquito, which amazes me because I'm in a very cold country and they should all be dead. Anyway, so we were just talking about what your next steps were going to be and whether or not you had come to any firm decision about that. Oh, and yeah.
So we've got cab company, snake pit, and Leah's apartment are kind of the next 3 items, right? But we kind of agreed to go to the snake pit together.
I mean, we can.
There might be another lead that comes from there, though. So, I mean, I think the crime scene's a good next place to go.
There are going to be times during the investigation where you will want to revisit some locations, perhaps. But of those, so whilst you're on your KIA, you can access the mainframe from anywhere. But you cannot access the Esper wall.
Right.
So you have to physically to go somewhere with an Esper device, which you do have in your own apartments. But you will also have at the LAPD. So in terms of what you choose to do and where you choose to go, I would advise you to consider if there's going to be a time when you're chasing a lead down, when you're looking at forensics, say you find something you want to take back to Coco, for example, that you don't all go and do that. When it comes to how you split your time, that's probably where you're going to save time. As going to different locations, that'll be down to you. If there's a reason to split. Otherwise, don't split just because you can. But you can. It's entirely, you entirely decide. But I think it's because I've encouraged the idea that you could split up. The natural reaction is to then split up whenever you can, as opposed to just playing it by ear. So we're of course as new to this system as everyone who will hopefully be getting their hands on it on the 13th of December. All I can say is I think you'll like it. But anyway, back to game. What?
Yeah, I think we should all meet up at the snake pit.
Snake pit, yeah. Which I was wrong. It's nowhere near Animoid Road. It's near Nightclub Road.
Yes, exactly.
That tracks.
I'm gobsmacked that it's near that.
The nightclub is near the nightclubs. It's crazy.
Right, give me one moment.
I mean, it's not the first time they've had replicant trouble at the snake pit, right?
No.
The snake pit. That's also by the red light district and stuff. Okay.
So give me a moment.
I love the fact they're using the artwork in the little transition screens as well.
Well,
The loading screens.
Don't give anyone except me credit for that. Thank you very much.
Oh, okay. Well, I love the fact that you're doing that then.
I absolutely would recommend to them to do it. It's not a base feature of
Okay.
Foundry. You have to get a module that plays transitions. Give me one
Right.
moment,
Okay.
and I will be back.
Oh, we've got tokens and everything.
You've got tokens and everything. Of course, you're on what could be called a battle map, but don't feel treat it like one just yet. If a firefight breaks out, you've got the map for it, but otherwise you feel free to sort of just have a look around, and I will tell you what you see. I'll come back to the snake pit because I was somewhere else for a moment. So, 1 second. So, some of you know about the snake pit. I mean, you've all seen the film, so I should think as players you all know about the snake pit. Certainly, as denizens of LA in the year 2037, you're aware of it. It's a place for strong drinks, 5-star entertainment, and really carrying a sordid history because of some of the sordid stuff that's gone on here. You know that back in 2019, one of their performers was retired on the street, later revealed as a fugitive Nexus 6, linked to the now infamous 2019 Tyrell Corporation murder spree. The owner of the place, the owner of the joint, is still Taffy Lewis. He's managed to spin that infamy into free publicity. So the club is getting even more attention than it ever used to do. It attracts the best stage performers around. But your definition of what they might be, it's probably pretty open. It's probably pretty wild in there. And you might well find you don't really want to be looking at the stage. Depends on your tastes. However, unlike the usual thumping and pumping club that its reputation would have it out to be, when you arrive, you'll spin a spiraling down through the smoke-choked, rain-filled air. There's a police line outside and a small crowd of gawkers. You get out of your vehicle. Here you are in front of the snake pit.
First time here, Fenna? I don't even need to ask you, Percival.
I think so. Let's see.
I was not active during the previous murder spree, so I've had no reason to be here.
So there's a police line outside.
Sorry, go on. Yeah.
There's a police line outside, and it's manned. I assume there's cops about.
That's not actually on the line. It's just been put out. It's like that
Right. Okay.
vaguely holographic police tape
Yeah.
display. The crowd are respecting it because it would blat and warn them to step off. But there are people. I mean, as you're coming through, they make way for you. No one really gets in the way of Blade Runners if they can avoid it. Certainly not little people. People are coming and going from the crowd for the most part.
Right.
I mean, you want
Quick scan of the crowd. I kind of want to see if there's anyone looking shifty or suspicious, or anybody who looks like a witness, perhaps.
So you're specifically observing the crowd. See, I mean, there is one guy who stands out from everyone else because he's literally head and shoulders above most of the other Gorkas. Shaven-headed, albino. Other than that, most of the people there very much look like they're coming to Gork for a minute or two and then staggering on to the next nightclub. It's afternoon. It still looks like it's 3 a.m. It's LA.
Yeah.
World War Terminus after all. And, you know, it's a cold rain, but people are hurrying on to the rest of their afternoon's entertainment. Although, let's face it, they're behaving as if it were nighttime. This one guy is just there, watching and paying attention. Sort of, I'd say he's fixed on you, but he's certainly paying attention to your arrival.
Okay. Walk up to him.
Yeah. Now, give me 1 second while I have to find you the appropriate mugshots. Here we go. Oh, for God's sake. Okay, give me a moment while I find mugshots, because that is easier said than done. I can find actors, but that's not what we want. Handouts, mugshot. Here we go. So give me 1 second further, and I will get him up so I can actually roleplay him. Because yeah, here we go. So he's big. Very powerfully built. More powerfully built than any of you. You the Blade Runners.
Afternoon, sir. Yeah.
Good afternoon. I saw what happened here. It was horrible.
Do you work here? Were you visiting? Are you a client? Client is the wrong word.
Well, patron. I sometimes.
Patron, that's the word.
Yes, I do sometimes come here. It's very, they've got the best stage shows around. But I work elsewhere. But this is where I come for, relaxation. And
what's your name, please, sir?
My name is Styles. It is not unusual for someone to have only one name in the future. Sometimes you have two. Sometimes you only have one.
And you say you saw what happened?
Yes.
Sorry, go on, Fenna.
I was just going to say it's a pleasure to meet you, Fenna. I was going to ask what exactly you saw.
Well, I was a guest at the club, and there was this dancer. I think she's one of those replicants. Her name's Iris, I think. She's very fetching, and I've seen her before. And she was performing when some of those replicant haters were jeering at her. And they started a fight.
So it was one of these supremacist groups that initiated?
Yeah. I think that there was... Now, what's his name? He's He's that scumbag publisher of that magazine, Kill. It's named like a little bit like it's one of those desserts. I keep on thinking it's jelly. I think it's pronounced in some sort of funny way. Yella, maybe. Yella Skylar. He's that publisher, you know. You've heard of Kill magazine. Kill magazine is pretty anti-replicant. I don't know if he was directly involved, but he was certainly in their group. And then there was the fella that ended up dead on the floor.
Did you see who shot the victim?
I did not. There was too much of a... What is this word? Fracas. Fracas going on. It was chaos.
Did you see how the victim came to be involved in the fight?
No, I'd not seen him before I saw him on the floor.
Is anyone else with him?
Not when he was on the floor. I don't remember seeing anyone else near him then. I will remind you, you have resources. You've got hard copies of things.
Yeah.
Things and copies of everything you've found so far on your KIA.
Yeah. So I'll show him the picture of Leah.
In fact, what I've probably neglected to do is to give you a mugshot of her, which I think you would. So I'm not 100% sure about whether...
We've got a file, haven't we? But yeah. Which has got a mugshot on it.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll consider that. There may be a better image. This is the problem with...
Okay.
We'll go with what you've got.
It's all good.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if I've got another mugshot of her,
you can absolutely show that the picture without revealing the information, so he doesn't need to see like her inset date, for example.
Yeah.
He takes a long look at it, frowning. Do you show him a picture of Sandor as well?
Yeah.
This is the fella that was on the floor. But I didn't see him before he was on the floor. There was just the fight and then a loud bang, and I thought he was in the crowd. But then this woman, I've not seen her at all.
Okay. What did you do after the... Go on, Percival.
No.
Yes, Percival, come on.
I say, I'm sorry to bother you, but do you perhaps know anything about firearms in your job?
No, not at all. I don't even own a gun.
Thank you.
What did you do after the fight, after the shooting?
Well, I came out of the club. I went away. I had a stiff drink and I went home. But this was not so long ago, and I just felt sitting at home that I ought to come back and wait in case the police wanted to talk to me, because I had seen what had happened. So I thought the best thing to do was to come and stand here.
That's very civic-minded of you, Mr. Styles.
Well, it was a horrible thing to see, and no one deserves that.
You're literally one in about 30 million.
Well, that's very kind of you to say.
How many were in the group with Yella?
I didn't get a head count. There was quite a few of these human
Rough guess.
replicant haters. 10 or 12. Difficult. It's a full club. Knowing who was with who. That was my guess.
Of course. Is there anything else you can remember of the incident at all?
It all came and happened so fast, that's all I can say. Anyone wish to make use of any of their skills, feel free.
Sure. Can I insight him? How does he? What's he feeling?
Go for it.
Okay.
Very nice. Well,
Hey.
Fenna, I mean, he's certainly giving you an account.
Right.
You don't think that the phrase, the truth, the whole truth and nothing but the truth would quite apply because of that whole truth part. That's just your sense.
You said we can use the mainframe on our KIAs, yeah?
Yeah.
So while the others are talking to him, can I run his record and see if anything comes up on him?
You certainly may. Give me one moment.
He's been very evasive about what he actually does for a living, which is a little suspicious.
Sure, I mean, you can access the mainframe. There's no... I mean, it's not... There was a blackout, right? So the records are not perfect, and it's not going to have, like, a detail of every citizen in the city. No one's ever going to be tracked like that. You're basically getting criminal record or something like that, or records based on linkage to maybe someone being a replicant, for example. You might have incept dates and the like. However, it's not like modern computing because of that blackout and the way that material is stored. Simply typing in styles, which at the moment is the only information you've got about him, it produces too many hits to possibly wade through. It's not exactly an unusual street name. Of course, the mainframe functions in multiple ways. You can input things to it in multiple ways.
My input is the fact he's albino, and if I read your accent correctly, South African or Australian, depending
I
which.
should definitely penalise a player for mocking my attempt at a different accent. Yes, vaguely South African. Yes, thank you. So
I check that.
I thought it was Irish.
Oh, thanks a bunch. I see why I love playing with these guys. I don't do a good accent. I just try and make a different voice for each character. That's all I'm trying to do. Anyway, I mean, again, like the mainframe hasn't got a record of the albino element, but then again, the records it has probably wouldn't record a fact like that. It'd record an image of him if it had a record of him.
Can I do an image search, or is that like old computer?
I mean, you're going to be there for a long time. I mean, if you had an image to search with.
Can I get an image of him without being obvious? Or...
That's a good question. Off the top of my head, I can't remember how the KIA works, whether or not it's got a camera. Let's just have a quick look. So it is on page 175. Including a bio
Got a retinal scanner.
ESPR-enabled audio-video recorder and a two-way comms device.
Yeah,
Capturing ESPR video and photography for later enhancement and cross-referencing inquiries. Sure, it's got video capacity. I will take from you... Let's have a look at your character sheet. Where are you? There you are. Percival. I suppose it's probably... You're trying to be stealthy, aren't you? It's not exactly the way stealth is described in the book, but I think it would be the most applicable role. So I'll take a stealth roll for you to try to photograph him. Without him noticing. you can push that. You have not got any. So you've not got any ones. I see. This is an Alien player. We've played a lot of Alien where you get facehuggers. When you get the little origami unicorn, yes, it leads to stress, but it isn't going to be the same sort of. It's not quite as horrific as the stress in Alien. It's up to you. You don't have to.
Yeah, I had a look at the stress table for replicants.
You've got quite a lot of resolve.
Not going to end well for.
Okay, so you don't push it. Yeah, I mean you're trying to get an angle on him. So here's the question: is you've not critically failed it in some ways, so he won't necessarily have noticed what you're doing, but you can't do it without it being obvious. Probably because
I'll do it with it. Yeah, I'm happy for him to see. As long as I get the photo.
He puts his hand up as you start trying to photograph him. Hey, I didn't. It's not an Irish accent, you cheekies.
I was joking.
It's because there's another game I'm playing where I try to do an Irish accent. I used to actually be pretty good at an Irish accent, but now I can only default to Scottish. Anyway, so he puts his hand up to come and says, "No, I don't want my picture in the papers. No, sorry."
Oh, it's not for that, sir. It's purely for verification we were here. We unfortunately had to be monitored and discussions with members of the public. As you may have noticed, I'm also a rep.
Sorry, I'm not going on record. I don't know who these people were, and I don't want to end up being shot or stabbed or something. No. He's got a right to refuse to have you take a photograph of him. Unless you want to make it
That's completely understandable, sir.
You can arrest him and take a photograph, but short of that, you can't force him.
I'm going to put my hand on his arm. Well, I understand what you saw was a lot, and strong. Is there anything else you saw? The woman Leia, she might have been wearing a jacket. She ran out here. Are you sure you're not missing anything?
I'll have another look, but no, I don't think. No, I would have recognised her. She's quite striking. I'm sorry. That's all I can tell you. I didn't see her at all.
And you said you didn't see that man at all before you saw him on the floor?
No, well, there was a stage show going on, and then there were these, replicant hating,
right,
shouting and making a fuss, and then this is a fully clouded nightclub with a full dance floor and the stage show going on. I was at the bar having a drink, and then the next thing I know, there was a fight, and within the fight there was suddenly, someone got shot. And I saw his body and then thought, I don't want to get shot, so I'm leaving.
What were these replicant haters saying? And where were they in relation to you?
They were just down the bar from me. They were saying such things as, fucking skin job, get off the stage, you're just a skin job whore, all this kind of stuff. Why don't you shove a snake up there next, darling, and this sort of thing. It was quite repulsive.
Oh, and you were at what seat at the bar? What side?
I wasn't sitting at the bar.
You weren't?
I wasn't sitting. I was standing at the bar.
You were standing at the bar.
I was just getting served, you see.
Can I take your address in case we need to follow up any leads?
Yeah, he gives you an address in the second sector.
Unless you've got anything else that you can remember right now, then I think we better get on inside and carry on our investigation. If there is anything that you do remember, please don't hesitate to contact your nearest precinct or the tower. I'm Detective Novak. This is Fenna and Percival. Ask for any of us.
Are they also detectives?
Yes.
Right. Detective Novak or Fenna or Percival. Of course, if anything else comes to mind, I will, of course, let you know. Is it all right if I stay here and continue to watch? I'm fascinated, really.
Why? Why are you?
It's a horrible thing. I've never seen someone shot in front of me before, and I want to see justice done.
So before I go in, I would like to scan the crowd again to see if there's anybody watching us with him or watching him.
No, from what you can see of the crowd, like most of the first load of faces that you noticed have changed, and the rest are sort of turning away, having possibly tried to earwig, listen in on what was being said, but you're not showing, it's not calling attention. They've sort of wandered off and new faces have arrived. No one is paying, I mean, they're all paying attention to you, but no one is paying you that kind of studied and calculated attention that...
Any unusual attention, yeah.
Yeah, it's the kind of gawking attention, the rubbernecking that you would expect, right?
Yeah.
You've seen it at 100 previous crime scenes or more.
It's a free country, Mr. Styles. You can stand here in the rain as long as you like.
Thank you very much, Detective. So, whilst I've got you on a map, it is up to you if you want to move around it, but it obviously makes life a lot easier if you do. So, I would invite you to open the doors and go in. And of course, sorry, there he is. I didn't reveal him. He's been standing there talking to you all this time, and I have neglectfully not revealed him. A bit stupid, wasn't it? Didn't want to give the game away that he was a possible person to talk to. Oh dear.
Seem able to move myself.
You're not able to move your token.
I've opened the doors.
Well, there you go. Maybe that'll help. If I move you in. Can you still not move your token? Try using your keyboard.
Yeah, I am. No.
Okay, I'll simply move you in. It's not vital. It's not like a tactical.
We have people inside.
Yes. So here you have the person who doesn't have a token without a face. The hidden man is a harness bolt, a uniformed police officer to Fenna and Percival. Harness bolt. Why they're called that, I don't know. Yeah. Besides him is a... 1 second. So the snake pit is empty, except for this uniformed officer and the club owner, who must be Taffy Lewis.
Yeah.
I will give you... So, as soon as you approach, the uniformed officer passes you like a little disc, which you can just slot into your KIA. It's a detective's crime scene photograph. Do you want me to go and canvass the crowd for any witnesses?
We just spoke to one witness outside. A man calling himself Styles, tall, albino.
Yeah, he was here when I...
He seemed a little strange, don't you think, Fenna, Percival?
Yes, I thought so too.
He's hanging around. He's given us what he saw happen. Yeah, maybe ask a few others, but keep an eye on him. He's an odd fish.
Yes, sir. This is Mr. Taffy Lewis. So, Taffy, who you may recall from the film, but if you don't,
yeah,
aged a little. Yeah, made his hair white.
Nice.
And you're going to access the crime scene photograph.
Yes.
Taffy is just at the bar, just having a drink. He's not really paying much attention to you, sort of looks over his shoulder and is like, so I will give you this photograph to have a consideration for. So obviously there's a lot of detail on this photo. If you want to ask me about anything specific, I can try and answer it. You may spot details that I have not seen.
Can I go and examine the clock?
Clock?
Clock.
The mirror.
Because it
mirror.
looks like it looks like the bullet that went through him.
Yeah, so
just hit that mirror.
I mean, you go over to it. It's obviously a large cracked mirror with there is a hole in the wall behind it. There is a hole through the mirror and a hole in the wall behind it.
Can I track through? Yeah.
I mean, you can dig something. You can dig around in the hole, see if you can retrieve a bullet.
Oh.
Yeah, you find a deformed bullet.
I presume I have like an evidence bag or something.
Yeah, sure. You bag it and
For
take it.
that.
Do you want to?
The splatter is not in a direct line with the mirror.
No, it's not. It's at a 45-degree angle.
Well, that's a blood pool. So it's a large pool of semi-dry blood on the floor, in the sense that
Yeah.
the guy fell there and bled out there.
Yeah, I think Damien means the lines coming.
Oh yeah, I've maybe been rewatching too much Dexter recently.
Yeah. So, right.
Yes. Not wanting to point out that I have a certain expertise in this, having spent
Well, yeah,
over a decade dealing with crime scenes and blood splatter analysis in courtrooms. A point here is that blood splatter doesn't follow the trajectory of the bullet in every instance. Instead, you can expect a arterial spray to go in the direction that it goes in.
fair enough.
The degree to which those crime scene investigation TV shows and things actually produce useful information,
Yeah,
it does happen, and absolutely it can be crucial, but it's by far and away less of an exacting science than they make out in those things. It's always open to interpretation. Of course, this is the limitation of a piece of artwork.
yeah, no, it's all fine.
I'll simply say that at the scene, as you look at it, because you're there, you can see it, study it in. This is a crime scene photograph. I think it's a beautiful thing, but at the same time, it's not the same as being there, right? So as you're studying the blood splatter, you can absolutely see that there, it's consistent. Where the bullet is would be consistent. Doesn't mean it is consistent. I mean, you'd have to model the bullet trajectory and have some kind of actual footage of the shooting, which sadly, looking around the place, there's no obvious ESPA cameras. Sorry. Yeah, I mean, you can. The blood is wet enough. You could take a sample if you wish to. Semi-dried, not fully dried.
I'll take a sample, and can I work out approximately from where the body landed and the fact that this was almost a point-blank shot? Can I stand roughly, or point to roughly what I think?
You need to be a lot louder and clearer. Sorry to Captain.
Yeah. Could I?
Hearing that. So, could you stand where roughly you what? Sorry.
Well, can I point to roughly where I think the killer stood? 'Cause I know it's a point-blank shot. I know where the body fell. So can I try and model or approximate where I think the killer was standing?
Sure. I'm just going to make one additional observation about volume and your mic. I don't know if you've put your mic on because you're on a laptop. I think if you're resting it against you, you might be slightly muffling your mic.
Yeah.
Sorry. So I've painted the neck to nag you about it. My apologies. I'm supposed to be having fun. Cool. Just because it means that I can hear clearly what you're saying.
It's fine if no one can hear.
Yeah, well, we'd just be like, what's that skin job on about? No, very good question. So you can absolutely go, I mean, angling it, let's have a quick look at your character sheet. Percival. I suppose it's an observation check, so give me an observation roll, please. Wow.
Nice.
Super successful. Yeah, so obviously you've got first of all, you can position yourself next to the shop, which is obviously in line. You think, assuming that broken mirror is the shot that you were talking about, and there's obviously one additional way you could check that. You've got the bullet. Looking around on the floor, there's no sign of any casing. So you've already had the evidence that it was likely caseless ammunition that had caused the lethal shot. And that caseless ammunition, if you've got a shot fired with caseless ammunition, you're limiting the idea of there being a second shooter that had... So that bullet is almost, you'd think almost certainly from the lethal shot. Working out the angles, where the bloodstain is, where Sandor fell, you kind of realise that obviously you'd be in front of that bloodstain. So looking at the... if you see where that... There's two knocked over stools. And if you were to just see the top left-hand corner of the... So the right-hand stool near the angel, if you like, the candlestick. The top left-hand leg, right at its point. If you were to be standing so that you were kind of next to the blood spatter just there, that would be where the person firing the shot into Sander would be. Given how well you rolled there, there's really very little reason to explain the state of the rest of the nightclub. I mean, looking around it, it's there are broken bottles and damage to the interior. So this isn't just like a shooting with nothing. There are signs consistent with a bar and brawl, which I think you as a player can see as well as a character, right?
Yeah.
So, just to correct myself slightly on something, where I've told you about the caseless, because there's an absence of a shell casing, the only other alternative for that bullet would be if it were a revolver. Who the hell uses revolvers these days? Probably are some still available on the market. You have a tendency to think in terms of police forces and corporate assassins. An old weapon, maybe, have to be a big gun.
So I'll point to where I think it was the end of the thing, and I say I think the shooter's standing here. Shot goes through into the mirror. The other damage is separate.
Afternoon, Taffy.
Afternoon, pal. Now, you're going to ask me some questions and then buzz off. I've got a joint to run.
Well, let's start with the questions. Is that what my friend here says? Is that true? Shooter was standing right next to him.
Look, I don't know. I didn't see any shooter either. That's, I'm running a club. I'm not keeping an eye on every single patron in it,
There was a fight beforehand, right? You didn't keep an eye on the fight when that broke out?
Things got rowdy. I mean, it happens.
Who exactly got rowdy?
Some juiced up assholes jeering at my dancer. Iris.
Human supremacists, right?
See, you don't even need to ask me any questions. You already know the answers.
I try not to ask any questions I don't already know the answers to.
It's a good strategy.
Here's one though. Show him the picture of Sandor. This is the Vic, right?
Yeah, he was in here.
Seen him before?
Nah, smelled like cop though. You all smell the same.
With someone. Who was he with?
You said you weren't going to ask me any questions you didn't know the answer to.
I did. Who was he with?
Some woman. Another cop. From the smell.
This woman.
You show him a picture of Leia.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be the broad.
That'd be the question I already know the answer to.
So why'd you ask it?
Routine. See if what we know and what you say adds up.
Yeah. You're looking a might dry there. Pal, you want a drink on the house? Loosen up a little.
Maybe later. What happened to the woman?
I mean, she was here and then she wasn't.
I mean, I would think someone gets shot in my club, I'd pay attention.
You would think that, wouldn't you? It's not exactly the first time we've had trouble here. It happens.
Well, no.
Gunshots, you know.
It's not a regular thing, though, is it?
No. Look, you know, things got chaotic. The loud bang rang out. I mean, loud. And when the smoke cleared, your man there was lying on the floor. A hole in his body where his life had been. What'd you think? As you say, it doesn't happen every day. Panic. Everyone running to the doors. I called the police for what good you are. That's it.
And didn't happen to notice where the assholes who started the trouble went to?
No. They panicked and ran for the doors like every other schmuck in here. Look, I didn't see it.
Percival.
I didn't see who pulled the trigger.
Percival, someone standing that close, using that larger caliber weapon, they're going to get covered in blood, right?
The largest hole is going to be the exit wound, not the entry, so most of the blood is going to go back, but there's going to be spray. They're going to have...
Probably a few people covered in blood, mind. Well, obviously, Taffy, we don't want to keep your business closed down any longer than we have to.
Good, so I can open up again then, yeah?
There's one
Not just
last
yet.
thing I'd like to check first.
Get on with it.
And I go over to the video phones in the corner. Is there a way to tell if someone made, if I'm, you know, obviously LAPD, would we know when calls were made? Is there any way we could find that out? Is it not?
I mean, yeah, it's a bit of an involved process. Sure, you can look at last calls made. But the whole thing about the VidPhone network is it's meant to be quite secure. It's one of the reasons why Wallace is pushing to be able to take over. Because it's a secure link on VidPhone. But last call is a record. It's there. Like, who made it? You can easily pull up that information, but you won't be able to find the call before that, if that makes sense.
I'll pull up that information just in case anyone got video of the shooting.
It's a call to the LAPD.
Brilliant.
So you're doing that. You're still asking questions of Taffy.
Would I be able to speak to Iris?
Iris.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I just want you guys to do what you do and get out and don't bother my staff. Like, you
Well,
don't
sure
know
you-
what to do with it. I just want to reopen, you know, get you off my property. You buzz off nice and quick. You've asked me some questions, I've answered them. My patience is like the well in the sunshine. It's running dry. You can make a manipulation roll if you want to try and get anything else out of him,
Okay.
including some virus.
The more we mire this down in red tape, the longer it'll be closed. Let's see.
And I make a few phone calls, and we'll see what happens to your career.
I think I'm secure.
The people who are important in this city. I mean, anyone who's anybody does come and drink in the snake pit.
Yeah.
Yeah, you say so. He says, but I tell you what, maybe you want to go and check out the changing rooms. Maybe you feel like you would like to come and work here sometime when your nice secure position in the Rep Detect unit falls away and you realize what a waste you've made of your life. So sure, you, and only you, can go through to the back room and talk to Iris, but she's upset, and I'm not having anything else messing with her, okay?
That's all I asked.
Maybe you come back another evening and there'll be a drink waiting for you at the bar. How about that?
I'll keep it in the back of my mind.
You do that. Now, you schmoes got any other questions for me? Or can I get on with getting my stuff back and opening this joint up and getting that mess cleared up?
Yeah, Yellow Skylar.
What about it?
He was here, right?
Yeah,
He was with the group, causing trouble.
he was having a drink. He wasn't being shy about what he thinks about skin jobs, you know.
I'll take that drink now then. And then I'll be out your way.
There isn't a barman, yeah. Reaches over the bar and pulls out a glass, plops it down, pours you some bourbon. Enjoy it, pal. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm a very busy guy. He starts to get up. So, anything else any of you want to ask him before he goes? If you want to try and press him for anything further, I will need another manipulation roll because he's clearly had enough of your shit.
I'm good.
I'm
Okay.
good.
Fair enough. So we'll cut to Fenna going to the back room for a chat with Iris. Give me 1 second, because you'll probably want to see what she looks like. There's a single dressing room with its door closed. It's fairly obvious that that's the one that's occupied. You knock, and after a moment it's opened by Iris. She's dressed in a robe and smoking, like with a certain desperation, like, yeah, what is it? Who are you? Are you here about the shooting? Are you the cops? I didn't see you. I didn't do anything.
Yeah, my name's Fenna. I'm with the Rep Detect unit. Listen, you didn't do anything. This wasn't your fault. You can just try to relax. Are you okay?
It's horrible, horrible, horrible.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? I know it's hard, but with your position on the stage, you should have been able to see a lot of what happened.
I was trying not to look. They were like shouting at me and done something
Right.
for a bottle and it smashed. And I just wanted to get away from it, you know.
The people who were yelling at you, have you seen them before? Did they come here frequently?
I don't remember. I don't remember seeing them before.
Okay.
Right up until the guy intervened and tried to stop him.
I'll show her the picture of Sandor. Is this the man who intervened?
No. Well, I mean, I saw him with. He was in the club the night before, sitting in the bar. Like they were watching a crowd. When the brawl broke out, yeah,
That's when he got involved.
he got involved, but it was the pale man that stopped them from attacking me, stopped them jeering and shouting and throwing things at me.
The pale man, can you describe the way he looks bigger? More? Is he big? Is he a large man?
He's bigger than me, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I don't really know him. I'm not really. I don't know who he is. I've seen him before.
Before he intervened, where was he?
I don't know. I hadn't noticed him until he
Yeah,
intervened.
noticed him.
But yeah, no, I am. That shot, like when the person shot the man whose picture you showed me, it was really loud. Like I didn't think guns sounded that loud.
Did you see who fired the gun? Didn't. Have you heard gunshots before?
Well, like on the vid and once out in the street at a distance, but.
So it was really loud, and am I correct? There was a lot of smoke
From the gun?
so the gun smoked.
Don't remember that.
And what did you do afterwards? Did you run back here?
Everyone else was running for the door, and I thought I'd come here and be safe. I thought Taffy could look after me.
So when the man intervened, what happened immediately? Was he the only one in? It was just him versus all of these. I guess
He was with a woman. They both went towards the fight. Or do you mean the pale man? I'm confused.
the pale man.
Yeah,
When he first,
he stood up to the people who were bullying me, and like then the other man and the woman he was with went in.
okay, and the woman. I'll show the picture of Leia.
Yeah.
Is this
That's the woman.
okay?
She's yeah, I've seen her.
you've seen her before.
Yeah, she's been at the bar a number of times. She's come before, definitely. In fact, yeah. Are there any tests you would like to make to use your player character's skills in addition to your own? Feel free. I mean, you're an investigating police officer.
Mm-hmm.
You can dig into this witness and try and get, like, no one's requiring you to be satisfied with the first answer.
With what she's saying, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
and of course, whilst we're role playing it, none of us are professional investigators. You know, if you want to assist yourself with dice rolls as well, or keep on plugging away, but of course, I'm only only so able to act her part. I'll try my best, but I'm sure I'm not getting it across exactly as she maybe.
Yeah, I'm not an interrogator, but this character is.
Yes, and a manipulator and very observant. All those things.
Right.
Or very pathetic, perhaps.
Yeah. She's the Yeah, I want to try to, lead her into revealing as much as possible.
Sure. I mean, do you want to give me an insight check? An insight check? Sorry? You paused for a second, so I was wondering whether you heard.
No, I didn't.
And in terms of pressing, so an insight check if you're trying to assess what she said to you. If, on the other hand, you want to press her about something specific of her story, that'll be a manipulation roll.
Okay.
She's told
yeah,
you several things. You'll have to discern which you want to press her on. Or all of it, I suppose. But...
Okay. Well, there's a couple of things. I want to press her on whether or not... what was that guy's name? Outside? Styles. I'm going to ask if she knows Styles better.
Cool. So, manipulation roll for that, please. Wow. You don't do things by half measures, do you, Fenna? So, go on and press her about it. And just for the sake, because it's role-playing, right? So, role-play how nicely you've just pressed her on it, and I will give you the response that role demands. Better have another cigarette.
Okay.
Bloody hell. For someone who doesn't smoke and is doing this for prop purposes, by the way, the sacrifices I make for art.
So, in my experience, not many people are willing to put their safety on the line for people they don't know that well. The Pale Man, is this... I think I met him outside. I think you know him better. He seems really interested in what's happening and defending you.
He's all right. He's a friend. He looks after me. You know, he keeps an eye on me, makes sure that people don't give me trouble. I don't get a lot of respect, and he shows me that respect. And you know, he's a friendly guy. He helps us. I'm a replicant. You know that. I'm a Nexus.
Figured as much.
And he keeps. He looks out for me. He looks out for the others who work here. And look, that woman. You know, I don't know who she was, but she was talking to Styles. I've seen them talking at the bar before. They seem to be friends too, so maybe he knows about her. I don't know. Maybe she knows about him, but he came forward and he did a good thing. He stopped them attacking me. He stopped them from saying those awful things, and he didn't throw the first punch. He just got in their way, and then I don't want to get him in any trouble. He's my friend. Yeah, and his name is Styles. That's right, yeah.
Okay. No, thank you for clarifying your relationship with him. He did the right thing. I'm glad someone's looking out for you all.
I don't know anything else about him, but I have seen him. Look, I'm sorry I didn't tell you everything straight away. I know you're a police officer, but I've also seen him elsewhere. He doesn't just come to the bar. I've seen him out towards Anemoid Row when I've been there. You know, Taffy, he likes us dancers to sometimes get props, animals to have on stage with us, that kind of thing. And when I've been down there visiting the place, I've seen him about. I don't think he saw me. He's not the kind of guy to be following. He's never tried to get into my room. He's never tried to, look. He's a good man. I think that may be where he works.
Well, thank you. Try to take care of yourself.
She goes back to chain smoking. God.
I will leave and return to the main area.
Excellent. Cool. So you're back in the room. Whilst that interrogation was going on, which you were talking to the witness, what were the others doing? I mean, you had done something beforehand anyway, but was there anything else quickly before?
I would have talked to Novak and just said what I wanted to do, which was to go back to base and to do various computing and forensic things. And I was asking him what he thought and what he wanted to do.
Yeah, so I want to be keeping an eye on Taffy and trying to see if there's anything I can pick up off his body language apart from being pissed off with the cops. And yeah, my next plan is to go to the cab dispatch and find out who hired the cab, where it went to. And then after that, probably Leah's apartment.
Okay. So,
but this is then obviously there's going to be more information coming from, I hope, from Fenna.
Fenna, you come back, you've had this conversation, you can put salient evidence into your KIA, which of course uploads it to the mainframe, or you can tell your teammates at the same time, here and now, about it. Do you relay everything that you were told, or do you keep anything back?
We'll relay everything that I was told.
So, assume you guys then effectively you've been part of that conversation. In essence, Fenna's very good at relaying the important parts. You probably take really good notes, right?
Yeah.
You're trained. Does that cause you to change what you want to do immediately?
I think we still need to do both of those things. But also somebody needs to investigate this Styles connection.
Yeah.
Clearly, I mean, it comes across as a rep sympathizer, right?
Yeah.
I have one possible idea about him, which is maybe there is an Esper recording outside for his image.
Well, that's already been checked, so you've already got the Esper footage. You can easily run through that on your KIA, and you can do it now.
Yeah, and I'll try and bring up an image of him standing there so I get his face that I can do.
The angle at which the Esper records is It's good. Unfortunately, it's got the back of his head, and at no time does it capture the face. Very much like he was deliberately trying to conceal his face. Not like he's putting his hand up like he did when you tried to photograph him, but he's aware of the location of the camera, and he is not looking at it. So you can't get a usable image for an identification process.
Yes, I would like to return to base and...
Well, we've got his address, right? Well, the address he gave us.
Is he no longer outside?
You haven't checked.
Yeah, I was gonna go outside and see if he's still there.
Sure. Is there anything you wanted from Taffy before you leave? Any other further qualifying questions? He isn't going to talk to you straight off. You'll have to force the issue. He's made it pretty clear he just wants you to buzz off.
Not right now. He might be in a better mood later and the club's open again and he's making money.
Maybe. Okay, so you go outside Fenna and
We'll all go out, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Shortly behind you come Novak and Percival. And there is no sign of Styles. He has left. The officer's standing there still canvassing the crowd.
Fenna, you said that
I mean,
he...
sorry. The officer obviously is there with the crowd. You did specifically set him to a task, so go on. I don't mean to interrupt you. I just want to make sure I'm not leaving you thinking that there's not options that are clearly in front of you. Go for it. What were you going to say? Fenna, there's...
Fenna, you said that he had been seen on Animal Row.
Animoid Road.
Animoid Row.
Animoid
Perhaps I may be able to find Esper footage of him. Did your interviewees say when he was there?
No, just that she saw him there. I mean, that might be where he works.
It's a large area. You could scour through several million hours worth of footage from different cameras before ever finding him. The way Esper War works, if you have a photograph, it'll find the guy. If you have a specific location, and you can say, look there at this time, you'll find what you want. If you're just going to do a random, I'm going to trawl the information, you're going to be there forever.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask the cop. Our friend, our tall, pale friend, did you see where he went?
Oh, him? Yes, sir. When I came out to start asking questions, he made off, waited a little bit, watched the responses, and then I started to come over to him, and he was already walking away. He went down that alleyway over there.
How long ago?
A minute, two.
I'm gonna go down that alley now.
Yeah, heading straight for the alley.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'll
Yes,
follow
yes, sir.
along.
So, you go down the alleyway, and there is someone who's just moved at the end of the alley and is making a turning to the left. They look over their shoulder, go take the turning.
Yell at them. Does freeze? I guess.
Okay.
Oh,
So we're going to enter into, I know,
chase mode.
yeah. So let's see
I
about
saw that in the rolls. Yeah.
foot chases. Woohoo! Let's try some of these new rules out, baby.
I saw this.
Right, so chase is... I've got a pop out rather than going... Should we do it from the book? Which might help someone who is about to GM this. Because that's, as I say, obviously we're running through the official starter set introductory adventure, which is called Electric Dreams. If we didn't say that, we'll be in the titles of this video. If you're someone who's planning to play it and you've got this far, well, we've just screwed up a whole lot of your gaming pleasure. This is obviously only for someone who is never going to play the game and just wants to see what it's like, or is wanting to run the game and is going to be a game runner. I like the way they tailor that term for every
Yeah.
game. Yep, so we've got a chase. We're going to look up the rules, and that's what we're going to do when we start our next video recording of this session. We've got maybe 8 minutes left of the session, and I think what we'll do is deal with humanity and promotion points, which are a feature. Of course, there wouldn't be something as simple as experience points. But I rather like this divided system. So let's just dig out where that is.
It's on that. Right, I found it's on our inventory page on the character sheet. Interestingly,
Sure. And I'm looking in the book for promotion points, which will be, by the way, the PDFs. So I'm still waiting for as Damien said, we're still waiting for the hard copies. But the PDFs are very nicely multi-linked within, cross-referenced and everything, which is always a complaint we have when we come across a game that has no proper index. Traveller. Promotion points to 20, I think. So, page 220 is promotion points and humanity points. After each session of the game, you should reward the players with promotion points for doing their job as Blade Runners. How promotion points are used is explained on page 36, blah, blah, blah. Give each player one promotion point if they, during the session... So, this is interesting, because some of the other Free League games that we've played, like Tales from the Loop, and even Alien, put it in the player's hands. Here it's in the game runner's hand. So did you find one or more clues that led to real progress in the investigation? Well, I think the answer is yes, all three of you found multiple clues, so you each get one promotion point for that. Did you reveal one or more fugitive Nexus 8 replicants and report them to the RDU? No, not as yet. Apprehended one or more suspects or fugitives? No. Stopped one or more serious crimes from being committed? No. Uploaded at least one piece of important evidence to the LAPD mainframe? If this was not discussed during the session, ask the players now. You've basically been uploading to the mainframe throughout.
Everything, yeah.
So you absolutely, all three of you, have found important evidence and therefore get a second promotion point. Saved the life of another LAPD officer or some other heroic action? No. Reported one or more other player characters for some form of misconduct and presented evidence to back up the claim? No, but I can see that being something with this group. Not because of the player characters, because I know the three of these guys. Took a baseline test and passed. You don't have that. Do you lose any promotion points? I'm just reading through the list.
Not so far, I don't think.
No.
Unless we fail to apprehend
So
it, yeah.
No, that doesn't count. You're literally about to do the chase, and failing to apprehend when given the opportunity to do it. Is he a wanted fugitive?
Yeah.
He's simply a person of interest. I'm not going to be overly tight on that. But it will be, so for example, if you identify who the shooter is and then refuse to fail, either deliberately or... Anyway, humanity points. These are used... So, did you take a personal risk to help another person, human or replicant? No. Connected to someone human or replicant on a personal level? I think arguably Fenna did with Iris.
I would say, yeah. I would say Fenna did with Iris.
So Iris, I'd give you a humanity point for that. Learn something.
Becoming human.
She takes a lot. Learn something significant about someone's life. Try to talk someone down from committing a crime, no matter if successful or not. Learn something that made them view the world differently. Refuse to upload a piece of evidence to the LAPD mainframe in order to protect someone. Refuse to follow orders because the character felt they were wrong. Used their key memory or interacted with it in some way. Interacted with their key relationship. Played one or more scenes of downtime or failed a baseline test, which is obviously for only for replicants. I don't think anyone except Fenna's earned a humanity point this evening. Not for a want of great role playing. I thought you did really well, but by those very specific rules. Still, I don't think that lets you change anything about your character before next session, so we will pick up with the foot chase. Thank you very much, and see you next time.
Thank you very much. See ya. Bye.